This month's book recommendation is all about how to hasten the process of getting your next job as fast as possible. I'm so excited to talk about my book recommendation for this month, The 2-Hour Job Search, Using Technology to Get the Right Job Faster by Steve Dalton. Hey, this is Michael with Michael's Business English. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Michael Rincon, and I'm a former six-figure data analyst turned ESL instructor and career coach. If you're new here to this channel, we talk about business English, communications, and career development. So if you're into that, make sure you like and subscribe. And all the links that I mentioned in this video, you're going to find them in the description box below. So for those of you who are new to this channel, or maybe you're new to my video series, I very strongly believe in the importance of reading books. It's one of the most important habits you can cultivate. If you haven't seen my earlier video on the book The Miracle Morning, I suggest you start with that first, because it's all about how to make reading part of your life. But this is a great book for you to read if your only goal is to get the job search. If you're on the job search right now and you're struggling, you don't know what to do, highly recommend this book. This is one of the most important books you're going to read. It's one of the most powerful books you're going to read. And this is, I guarantee you, if you apply what he suggests in this book, it's going to skyrocket your job search. I'm really happy to read this book because I know a lot of job seekers, they struggle with their job search. They spend months and months and sometimes even longer to try and get the next job. And I have my own theories as to why that is. There's lots of reasons why. But I feel like the number one problem that I've seen is the process for the job search is broken. So in this book, I'm going to summarize it in this video and explain what this book's about, why you should read this book, and how this is going to help you improve your process time, reduce your process time rather, so you can get your next job a lot faster, so you're not waiting months and months to get the next job. So a quick FYI about this book. Sometimes people are worried about books because books are like more theory than fact. This book is not a book on theory. This is a book on actual action steps you need to take to actually get the job. And it's literally step-by-step processes that I highly recommend. It's what I recommend to all my students. If you've been through my Resume CV Master course, I talk about some of this concept he talks about in his books, how to do research, how to format your resume, all that kind of stuff, right? This is the most critical parts of the job search boiled down into 250 pages and how to do this. So I highly recommend this book. I'm really strongly happy about this. The thing to remember is that this book is not a theory book, it's an action taker's book. So when you read this book, keep in mind that you're going to be learning action steps for you to take. And so if your goal is simply to read a book for the sake of reading, it won't be a good book for you. But if your goal is like, I want to get a job as fast as I can, get this book and get ready to do work, because that's what the book's all about. So the main goal of the 2-hour job search, what makes it so effective, is you got a process to the 2-hour job search. It's actually literally a 2-hour job search, as opposed to like theory, as opposed to hopefulness. And the idea is that you're going to systematize your process for your job search. The way he has it set up is you have a very specific process, and the process goes like this. You choose what you want to do, then you write a resume, and you prioritize your target employers, you contact them, but then you also recruit advocates to provide internal referrals, then you do the interview and you get an offer. Now, that sounds like very high level, pretty straightforward, but the things that make it really interesting is that look at what's not included in this list. You do not apply for jobs online. You do not use LinkedIn to apply for jobs. You do not send your resume randomly to anyone who will do it for you. You don't ask people on LinkedIn to be your connection request. It is all about spending your time choosing the best things to do, doing the research properly, prioritizing, and focusing on a plan, as opposed to just trying to hit and run, meaning or rather spray and pray, meaning that instead of just throwing things out there and hoping for the best, it's like applying for jobs, like whack-a-mole, like bam, bam, apply. No, what Dalton suggests is that we as job seekers, as people who are looking for work, we take the time to really get clear on our process, get very clear on what we want, and then we write our resume, our cover letter, our application package specifically for that. So I made a video earlier, or rather last year, in December about why customizing your resume or CV may not be working for you. Should you do it? Should you not do it? I'll put a link to that in the description below, and I'll put an info card up in YouTube as well. But the thing I want to point out to you is that if you don't do the research up front, if you don't spend the time on this process, it's so important, you're going to have a much harder time later down the road. So this is why I strongly advocate taking the time to do the research and getting that done, so that when you're going out and applying for jobs, like, it's not just like hoping the job will work. It's more likely gonna stick, more likely to be a very effective result. So to further improve upon this process, Dalton breaks down his 2-hour job search into 3 steps. The first one being the prioritization, which he calls the LAMP method, which includes listing out options, finding out your alumni, then finding what roles inspire you, motivate you, as well as finding job postings, not to apply for them, but to use as data. Because again, job applications, if you try to apply for jobs online, you may have seen this, there's tons of statistics on this, but the chances of you getting an offer from an application are less than 1%. For every posting out there, there are at least 50 applications, some as high as over 200 applications, and only a handful of people get interviewed, but we're talking 4 to 6 people getting interviews, and then 1 person might get an offer. And even further, I'll tell you that my last job at the banks, they tried to hire someone for a role, and it was me and another coworker and a few other candidates who were being interviewed, because I was a contract employee, and so they wanted to convert me to full time, but they wanted me to interview with all the other candidates because I was a contract employee, I wasn't a full-time employee, so I had to go interview to get the job offer full time. And what was really interesting is that even though there were 3 positions available and there were over 50 applicants, this is their data, they told me 50 applicants, and including myself, my colleague, who were contract employees, and they interviewed myself, my colleague, and about 6 other people for the role. Only myself and my colleague got the offer. None of the people who applied got an offer, even though there were all these positions available, because my employer did not like the applicants. So really important to appreciate that the job postings are great for data, but they're awful for applying for jobs. If your strategy is around applying for jobs every single day on LinkedIn, stop that. Like, you can still do it, but like, just understand, like, it's not the most efficient use of your time. Now, the second part of the 2-hour job search is the contact portion. Now, what's really interesting about this is that Dalton has a very interesting and proprietary process for doing his outreach. So if you've never done a cold email or a cold message to someone, this is a very good book to read about that, because he actually has templates you can use immediately for reaching out to people you want to get to know and conduct informational interviews with. Now, as a sideline, if you don't know what informational interview is, this is when you are asking them to meet with you or to get on the phone with you because you have questions about what they do. You want to learn more about their role, you want to learn more about their career development, you want to learn more about the position or the company that they're working at. Informational interviews are powerful on the front end because you get information that can help you during your job search about what's it like to be a certain position at a certain company, what's it like, what's the current landscape like, what's it like to be a certain role. They may have some information that you don't have that can help you with your overall job search. That's on the front end. On the back end, what makes informational interviews so powerful and so effective for job searching is that you're building your network and you're showing your character, you're showing your personality. What happens is that informational interviews, not always, but they have the possibility of pushing you into interviews a lot faster because now you have someone who can refer you internally. So you know how sometimes there's like a job application will say, were you referred to this position by? Or have you ever had that happen? Like, or even better, you may have heard the mantra or the saying that it's all about who you know. It's a lot easier to do that when you actually know people in the company. So informational interviews give you a nice 1-2 punch of one, it gives you added value, and two, it increases your chance of actually getting jobs because it's pushing you in the door. It's getting you in there. So keep that in mind, that it's not just about getting the data, it's about actually getting your name, into the company and into this industry so people know about you. Now, the final section of the 2-hour job search is the recruit section, and Dalton talks about this as informational interviews. So I just spent a minute talking about this, but basically, it's just like I said, it's about getting to learn more about the person, the company, the career, the industry. Now, Dalton has some more specific information that you can use in your informational interviews, so I strongly suggest looking into that, learning more about it, so that way you can actually apply this. All right, to summarize, this book recommendation for the 2-hour job search is about creating a process that allows you to speed up the process time of you actually getting a job offer, as well as reducing the amount of work you do overall by changing your process, enhancing your process, so that one, you're doing the proper research up front, so you know what jobs you're targeting, and two, it's about doing a 3-step process for reaching out and connecting with people who can help you actually get the jobs you're looking for. That way, instead of spending your time applying for jobs daily, weekly, monthly, only to hear crickets or to not get interviews at all, you're going to increase your chances of getting interviews and job offers by informational interviewing. All right, if you'd like a more in-depth review of this book, I've actually written a detailed blog post on this topic. I include my own personal notes on this book. I talk about some of the examples I've used. I actually talked about some of my case studies as well, because I have used informational interviews throughout my career ever since 2012. Now, I didn't find this book until recently, so I didn't get to actually implement his strategies, but I did use informational interviews throughout my career to help me get job offers. Not directly, that's a spoiler, that's like a surprise. I'll tell you more about that in the blog post, but it has been helpful and instrumental even overall in helping me determine and shape out and kind of create my career, which allowed me to hit 6 figures in my lifetime, despite not having like the advanced credentials or any of the required skills that one would typically need to hit 6 figures. You can also check out my other book recommendations on my blog. You'll see I have a few different books. I haven't gotten around to making a video yet. I haven't gotten around to making a full length blog post on it, but again, I have a lot of books that you might want to check out if you're like, I don't really want to read this book, I'm not in job search mode. You might have something there that you might find useful to you, so give it a check out if you have time. My question for you is, what did you think of my summary? What are you going to plan to do? Are there elements in here that are new to you? Have you ever done an informational interview? What would you like to do next? What questions do you have? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, like it. Please don't forget to subscribe and check out my other videos here while you're at my channel. Thanks. Hope you have a good day. Thank you.